Hi.
Hey, what's going on?
How are you?
Whew, I'm hanging in there. How's my feed? Do I need to make a change over here?
I think it's fine.
Okay.
It looks good. Yeah. Thumbs up. Oh, might need to make a change to the to the Wi-Fi.
Oh,
All right, there
heck.
we are.
As soon as I asked, I knew it was going to be a problem. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well, Justin. Can I first of all say thank you so much? We appreciate you joining us tonight or this afternoon for
Thank you.
you.
No,
We
it's
are
a
so grateful.
pleasure. I love this
Thank you.
account. It's my pleasure.
Aw, that's so sweet. Well, I know your time is precious, Justin, so we want to jump right into it with you if we can.
Let's do it.
All right. So we want to say, first of all, we loved black hair. I'm thinking about black cinema now. We loved, we love bad hair.
We love
And
black hair too.
I like it. I like it a lot.
It's beautiful.
But we love the film. We got Jamar and I. We probably watched it between the two of us like 30 times each. It's just one of those.
What?
I'm serious. I'm serious.
That's awesome. Thank you.
It's one
Why?
of
But
those
thank you.
where you watch it over and over again. And you know what? We actually spoke with MC Light last night, who's also a part of this project.
Yeah, she is.
And she talked about how good movies are those movies that you have to watch it the first time just because of all the excitement. It's good. Then you watch
Yeah.
it a second time so you can kind of find those things that you missed the first time.
Yes.
And then you watch it a third time so you can kind of catch the nuances of the actors and see why maybe they made decisions to say it this way or, catch all the little things that you miss overall. And this was one of those films for sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's like the goal. So I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. So what inspired you to create Bad Hair?
Well, I think it was, it started with talking about a movie called The Wig, which is a Japanese horror movie about a wig that takes somebody over. And I found my way into a movie called X Day, which is about hair extensions. I believe that's a Korean film. But basically, like, hair is such a popular horror motif in like Asian horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, me and my producers of Dear White People, we just started kind of joking, like, what would that even be in America? And then I started rabbit holing, and I found there's like a couple things about baldness, which I probably should have made the first movie about. But really, there was nothing about like wigs or extensions or anything like that. And so it just started churning in my mind, and I thought to myself, like, why have I never thought about making a horror movie? I love horror movies, especially the kind that are really like social satires in disguise. And I
Yeah.
felt like, the Black experience in America is so horrifying that I wanted
Woo.
to I kind of wanted to say something that hadn't really been said in the genre yet. And I didn't want to make it about like a moral question over whether or not it was right or wrong for her to get the weave. I didn't think, one, I had the right to say anything about that, but also I just think that that was that interesting. And
Mm.
so I just kind of got hooked that way. I just kept researching and thinking about it, and it was like a puzzle, and it was just a story I had to tell.
Oh God, we loved it. Can I say that I, as a Black woman watching this film, I felt like it was tailor made for my experience.
Oh, thank you
And
so much for saying that. I really
oh
appreciate that.
gosh, for sure. And that's why I watched it so many times because it was so deep. Like it wasn't just a horror film. Like there were so many messages. Like that film was woke. It was
Oh,
a
thank you.
woke film, and like I really hope that when viewers do see it, that they're really seeing it. Like catching it. And I don't want to
Yeah.
say too much because I really want you guys to check it out. Um, but for
Well,
sure.
I appreciate that because, like I really try to, I think as a queer Black man, I have a responsibility to Black women, frankly, because I do have male privilege, but I'm also queer. So like I grew up mostly around Black women and around Black femininity, and that they tend to show up more than anybody else to see the stuff that I make. And so, with Dear White People, I have a whole writer's room filled with Black women and Black female producers and Black female directors. And with Bad Hair, I wanted to try to create that experience too. And so, the movie, once it started churning in my head, like I went with like my homie Tiff Johnson and Dime Davis and Lena Waithe and
Mhm.
Jerry Brown and all of my Black lady friends that were in the industry. I begged them to go with me to Palm Springs, and we just talked for like a couple days about what their specific journeys were, because I wanted to do exactly that. I wanted to tailor make it, not just sort of black gay man all over the female experience, but really try to like work in people's actual stories and, their actual lives.
Yes, you did such an amazing job, Justin.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for this film. Like it's one of those. It's become one of my favorites. So thank you.
Oh my God, that's so sweet. Thank you.
I'm being for real. I'm being for real right now.
Thank you. It's a weird movie, so it's nice when I find the other freaks that get it.
Yes, I'm a freak. I get it. So now we've had this discussion on the cutaway scenes with Anna's family and sitting at the table.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about this, and their beautiful attire with the hair, the background continuous. Why can I say this word? Continuously, okay.
Uh-huh. You
Grows
got
on the
it.
wall.
You got it.
Can you picture the scene I'm describing?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we were wanting to know, because we have our own opinions, but what did that scene mean? Like what is your interpretation? Better yet.
Well, it's a dream. It's a dream image, which is my favorite kind of, I guess, cinema, is when it's sort of the logic is out the window. And so you can kind of free associate in that scene. But I'll say that it was, I wanted my blood out of the elevator scene from The Shining,
Yeah.
and we really experimented with a lot of different things about that scene. But one of the things that we're playing with is, what would beauty look like if we didn't have a European beauty standard kind of like coming in all the time through the back door? And that was sort of the question that kind of, spawned a lot of the creative. But there's a lot going on in that scene. And I think, and I don't want to say too much, because I think part of the fun of it is being like, why?
Yeah,
Why? That's my favorite part of a movie. So
yeah.
I don't want to answer it too
Right.
completely.
I don't want to give away too much, because that part is so good. But yeah, I kind of wanted to know, like, what was your interpretation of that? So that was good.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's about, what are the two kind of beauty standards happening in Anna's head at that moment, kind of colliding. That.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Okay, so now yellow eyes usually signify the witch's presence in the body of the host. And I hope I'm not giving away too much here.
No, this is good.
And now, spoilers. And that reminded us a lot of Michael Jackson's Thriller at the very end, with the dramatic reveal where he turns around.
Of course.
Was there any connection? Like, did you?
You know what's funny? Here's the thing. I'm going to say yes, because I grew up with Michael Jackson and I'm obsessed with Michael Jackson. So it probably subconsciously is. But what I was actually going for was those kind of like in 1989 in particular, there was this sort of hazel eye bad contact that like everybody cool that was black was wearing for like 1 year, it felt like. And so that's actually like that sort of weird hazel, I'm black, but I'm not all the way black kind of contact that was cool for a second. Like that was the exact sort of shades that we were going for. But looking back at it, I totally also feel the Thriller reference. And I think you can also hear, I'm actually like really, this is not me. This is our amazing genius composer, Chris Bowers, who did the score. But there's some moments in the score that also remind me of the score from Thriller. And I was quite delighted that Chris tipped his hat.
The score was amazing.
Oh my God.
Because
Chris Bowers killed that score. Like, for real. It's out of control.
That song, oh God, like you guys need to see the movie so we can like get into detail and really gut into you guys over it. Come on. But there's just one song that I believe you may have helped written or you wrote for.
Oh yeah. I wrote those songs.
Oh my God.
I wrote the pop songs. Yeah, I wrote the pop songs in the movie.
You're so talented.
I'm just gay and from the South. That's what we do. I don't know. I had all these songs in my vault. I never really learned. I was never like trained properly to like play music. But I make songs all the time. I find it fun. It's a hobby. Nobody ever hears them. But yeah, since I was a kid, I've been making like little pop song demos. And when we were at a point in the script when I felt like, oh, I really want to actually like I don't want to just like license Bobby Brown or license, Janet Jackson or Jodie Watley. Like I actually want these characters and their lyrics in particular to be a part of what I'm trying to say with the movie. And so that's how that kind of came about.
Oh my goodness, you put it down. I don't know why I want to say proud of you.
Thank you. It's so sweet.
Oh my goodness. So now the casting for the movie, let's talk about that a little bit because
Oh
I feel
yeah.
like it was spot on.
Yeah, it's a great cast.
Great cast. Anna, who was played by Elle Lorraine, gave a chilling performance, as you know. On top of that,
Amazing.
you had so many big names in the film, from Vanessa Williams to Blair Underwood to Lena Waithe. MC Light made a few appearances.
Yeah.
God, there were so many more. The list really does go on.
It's kind of crazy. It's Usher's in the movie. It's like a lot.
Usher,
Like
Kelly
it's
Rowland.
James Vanderbeek is up in there. It's like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I loved it. It was like every time you turned around, it was like, oh, it was great. It was great.
Hi, Rick Picks. Sorry, my boyfriend just chimed in, so I have to say hi. Hi, Rick Picks.
Hey.
Yeah, that shit was crazy. I mean, I had an amazing casting director, Carmen Cuba. And then there were a lot of people like Laverne Cox, who were just sort of like, we had just got her to do a cameo in Dear White People season 3, and we were trying to find stuff to do together. And it was just one of those things where like the people that we really wanted were the people who were both available and loved the script enough to do this. And for me, the casting process is like probably my favorite part, because you're not just putting together basically the most interesting thing that you're going to put on screen, which are the people.
Yeah.
And that dynamic is like a recipe, but it's also like, who do I want to go on this journey with? Like, who do I want to tell this story with? And everybody that we cast, every single person, we spent a lot of time talking about the story and, what is it that this film is trying to say? What is it that this film is trying to do? And so there was like a soul connection there too,
Yeah, maybe that's what we were feeling when we
Yeah.
watched it.
There's some woo woo on this movie. I named all the women after my mom and her sisters too. I wanted like my family in there somehow.
Wow.
And so I have an aunt Zora, an aunt Edna. My mom's name is Anna. And ever since I made that choice, it felt like there was this otherworldly kind of thing going on that was a little bit above me, I have to say.
Yeah, for sure. I could see that because I felt it. That's why I said, man, I felt like this movie was so tailor-made to my experience as a Black woman.
That's awesome.
Like,
That's awesome to hear.
Everything that I'd ever known, like it just spoke to my entire experience. So,
wow, thank you.
I just loved it. I want to switch gears a little bit and go back.
Yeah.
We were just talking about some of the music, but one of my favorite songs, and I think you just mentioned it, was "I Get It."
You don't want my love.
Yeah.
This is why you don't want my voice in any of the demos.
That one was probably my all-time favorite song in the movie.
Aww.
What was it like to write that song? Did you specifically write that song with Kelly Rowland in mind, or was it just one of the ones in the toolbox?
I'm actually going to try to remember. I get it. Yeah, okay. That was a lot of my songs are like really tacky crushes that didn't work out. And so I probably wrote that in like mid 2000, like 2008, 2010. It was just this melody that kept it was like in the shower or something. It just was this melody that kept hitting my head, and I was mad at somebody that I liked that didn't like me back. And that's where the original version of the song came from. And then when I went, I was kind of like going through all of the weird bad music that I'd made over the years. And I found that song. I was like, oh, I really love that hook. The lyrics are kind of interesting, and I could sort of make it kind of like this anthem that Anna keeps hearing everywhere that's like encouraging her to get it, get the hair, and I sort of, I kind of took some of my personal details out of the lyrics and made it more for a Sandra type. And then Kelly just came in and just destroyed it, like decimated it, like in no time flat. Just,
oh my God.
Like watching her record a song is like one of the most amazing things I've ever seen, to be honest.
Oh, what a privilege. Did you purposely give it, like, to me, it was giving me serious Janet Jackson vibes.
Oh yeah. Well, I really feel like between Janet, Jodie Watley, and Karen White, like that's why we, in my opinion, I don't know if this is fact, but just going over, and I researched this film a lot, Weaves really took off after 1989. And it just can't be a coincidence that we see Janet Jackson
Yeah,
doing a flip on the pleasure principle and the hair just
just
perfectly,
saying,
bam. You know what
like,
I'm saying? In
that
1987,
was a
88. And then
phenomenon.
you see, right? And then you see her with the Rhythm Nation and she's ha, ha, ho, ho. And the hair is just like, bam. Like that's
Yeah.
1989. So in my mind, in my weird fractured mind, that those artists, probably not on purpose of course, but just like those artists were a big reason why that kind of look became like achievable and relatable to the average black woman. And yeah, I just thought it'd be cool to actually like work her into the narrative. Instead of calling her Janet or Jody or Karen,
Yeah.
we went with Sandra.
I just love this. I love it so much. Now,
Yeah.
could there possibly be a sequel to the film?
Ooh. Okay, so I have some news to give you that we haven't really announced anywhere. So you're getting an exclusive here. But I don't know. Okay. I would be totally into a sequel. I would totally be interested in carrying on the franchise. But I am very curious what people think of our original ending of the film. Because that actually would determine where we would go next. So, the first ending that we showed was at Sundance. The
Mhm.
thing that we've shown on Hulu is actually kind of new. So people who
Oh,
saw the movie at Sundance already know this ending, but everybody else, this is brand new. We just put the ending up on Hulu today. So you can actually go right now to Bad Hair Extras and check out a completely different ending to the film. It's an additional 15 minutes. And there is a conversation with me, Elle Lorraine, and Ashley Blaine Featherson, who were in the film, about the ending. So check that out first.
oh yeah.
And once I get some feedback, then I'll have a better idea of what to do next with the series,
Ah,
if anything.
that is amazing. Thank you. First of all,
Yes, come on, Black
we
Cinema
are
now with the exclusives.
come on through with the exclusives. We are gonna check that out for sure. Like I'm almost ready to wrap this up. I'm ready to go see that.
Check it out. Let me know which one you like better. It
Oh,
might
for
determine
sure.
some
That's so
things.
exciting. I have
Yeah.
something to do tonight now. Yay!
I got at least 12 minutes covered. At least 12.
All right. Okay. Thank you. So let's go ahead and talk about Dear White People. Okay.
Yeah.
We all love Dear White People. I feel like honestly you're kind of living under a rock if you haven't heard of it or checked it out by now. It's on Netflix. Please go and educate yourselves.
Check it out.
The movie turned series is so necessary to watch.
What's up,
But
Aubrey?
say
Sorry.
it again.
Sorry. I'm like, you're talking and I'm like shouting people out. I'm so sorry. What's up, Aubrey? My
All right.
bad. I'm sorry.
Now, we really think Dear White People is so necessary for everyone to see, especially the Black community. We really do. This is really good. But initially, people were taken aback by the name, Dear White People. How did you come up with that name? And was it ever a concern to you when you finally put it out there?
I mean, it was a concern, but it was a calculated one. I knew people would freak out about the title. I didn't think they would freak out as much as they did. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I wasn't expecting like the KKK Klan leaders. I wasn't ready for all that was happening when the show first came out. But I had been testing Sam White's jokes. She always had a radio show called Dear White People in the script, but the script wasn't called that. And I was kind of testing her jokes out on the internet, and I just saw like it was like a perfect litmus test because like when white people would read Dear White People, they would imagine whatever version of Black people they imagined the most saying that. And they would either laugh and chuckle or they'd be incredibly outraged, which told me that they just assumed naturally that Black people were just like ready to scream at them and take their heads off, which may be true. But it speaks more to, their sort of natural fear of Black people than it did to actually what anything I had to say, because dear is a very nice way to begin a sentence, in my opinion. There was already something called shit white people like, shit white people say. All that stuff was fine because white people were doing it. But there was something about Dear White People that just triggered people. And I thought the reaction in and of itself almost like said more than the movie could ever say. And so it just was a very meta, perfect title in my mind. And the so-called controversy seemed ridiculous to anybody that had actually watched the film or watched the show, because of course that's not what the show is. And it just further proved the point. So we kind of rolled with it, and Netflix was like brave enough to keep letting us roll with it. And I really appreciate that.
We appreciate it too. I love the film. I love the series especially.
Yeah.
The series really touched on topics that Black people face, but also gave a perspective from HBCUs, or I'm sorry, that also gave a perspective that HBCUs can appreciate.
Yes.
What inspired you to turn this into a series?
I just felt like there was so much more to say. You know, I feel this way after Bad Hair too. It's like, you know, Bad Hair and Dear White People both really modestly budgeted independent films.
Yeah.
And with Dear White People, especially, one, I had sort of failed to anticipate the Black Lives Matter movement. The Black Lives Matter movement and Dear White People, that all, like, we came out, you know, in 2014. We had shown at Sundance at the top of that year, but it was sort of developing like after I had finished shooting the movie, and I wanted to include, you know, what Black protest was feeling like in my generation. And I was like, oh, I want to tell more stories about that. And then there was also, you know, people who identified with Sam got their lives, but people wanted more of Coco. They wanted more of Troy. They wanted a lot more of Lionel. And I just felt like, you know, I would like to give all of these characters, you know, more canvas, more space. I have more stories I can tell. There's so much stuff we wanted to do in the movie that we couldn't do. There's so much that we left open with the ending. Why not keep going? And so, you know, when Lionsgate, which bought the film for home video release, they started asking, you know, would you want to do something for a TV show? I'd actually been thinking about it. And a Netflix executive by the name of Tara Duncan, who's now president of Freeform, she was actually really integral. And she was one of the first people who saw the movie and was like, Justin, like every chance we saw each other, she was like, Justin, when are we going to do a show? And that's what happened.
That is epic. So if you were, I'm going to kind of throw this in here, but if you were approached about turning Bad Hair into a series, do you think that's something that could possibly happen?
I'd be super open to it, you know. As far as I can tell, the Hulu people are super happy with the movie. I think it was doing things on their service that other things weren't quite able to do, reaching different kinds of audiences. So, you know, time will tell. And to me, like, stories are fun no matter how they come out. If they're a movie, if they're a series, if they're a limited series, there's a lot of different ways we could go with it. So it'll depend on what the market wants and what I'm available to do. But I'd love to. I'd love to keep it going.
Okay. Now, you have a podcast, Don't At Me.
Yes, thank you for
Love
mentioning it.
So it kind of delves into topics like sexuality, race, gender. Could you tell us a little bit more about your podcast,
Don't At Me is basically like conversations between me and culture leaders, other filmmakers, basically the people in the new Black Renaissance. You know, you'll be hearing me talk to Barry Jenkins on there, and Ava DuVernay, and you know, Terrence Nance, and Tiffany Johnson, and Don Davis, and Lena Waithe, and you know, my friends, basically about what are we doing here? What is it like trying to be Black and be a creative, and sort of come from the marginalized parts of society, trying to say something to the middle. And it's like, you know, we try to have those in-depth conversations where like it's really, we're going to go beyond the sort of knee-jerk Twitter response. I mean, that's where the Don't At Me comes from, is that like, you know, nothing we talk about on that show can really be dissected in like a couple tweets. You got to sit there and be a fly on the wall, listen to us throwing shade and saying all kind of crazy stuff. So that's what the podcast is all about. And it's, you know, probably more for my introverted self to just sort of meet with people that I admire.
Yeah.
It's just an excuse to do that. So hopefully other people get something out of it too.
We love it. We love these conversations. We really do. So speaking of, what can we expect next from Mr. Justin Simien? What are some of the other passion projects maybe that we're working on?
Well, there's definitely Dear White People season 4, which we are in the middle of trying to figure out how to shoot during COVID, which is not an easy task, but we are going to get there one day. That's the big thing at the moment. And there's some pretty big other projects coming out that, you know, I'll be able to talk about in due time, that are kind of filling up my days at the moment. But Dear White People 4 is the biggest thing I would say to mark your calendars with. I don't know when it's coming out, mind you, but I feel like just mark like 2021, just somewhere in there. She's gonna be there, I hope. That's my goal anyway.
Fabulous, because I saw that question just popping out.
Yeah, I know. I wish I knew. Honestly, we're still shooting it though. So as soon as we finish, we'll have a better idea.
Awesome. Man, Justin, that's all the questions we have for you.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I
Thank you.
really, really love your account. Seriously, like it's one of my favorites.
That is so, thank you so much. Our
That's
hearts are
great.
so full. You guys,
It's
make sure that you're following Justin Simien on social media. Make sure that you log off here, go to Hulu, check out that hair.
yeah.
Follow Black Cinema Now and follow me, your girl, Hollywood Gems, over at H Wood Gems. Okay?
Yes, H Wood Gems. See, now I
Yes.
gotta add that to my list. Okay,
Add it
cool.
to the list, Justin.
I will.
You take care of yourself. And until
Thank you
next
for
time.
having me. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye.